When the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Here we go. It's the best soccer show. Jason Davis, Jared DuBois. This is my very announcer voice. Sometimes it's less than that. Sometimes it's more like Jared DuBois, Jason Davis. Jared DuBois for the block.
So this would be your radio voice?
I don't know. My kid did a thing like last week. He was like, Daddy, why do you use a different voice when you're on the radio? And I'm like, I don't know.
He called you a phony to your face.
He said something like that. We are here live on a Monday night. Now, why are we live on a Monday, Jared? Why not Sunday, which is our usual time slot? They bumped us. Oh, no, we bumped ourselves. Why do we bump ourselves?
Okay. Well, I don't want to be stale. You know me. I like to stay fresh.
You like to stay fresh on top of...
We want our Rotten Tomato score to be fresh, certified.
We're at 89% right now. The USMNT national team maybe is at 89%. 6-2 over Panama in Austria. All these words make no sense together, but in COVID-19 times, they kind of have to, right? 6-2. Now, Jared, that game confounded the hell out of me. That game made no sense. So you get a goal from Panama in the first 10 minutes, and I'm thinking, oh, God, what's going on here? Now, I am giving this team a pass because it's the first time with all these kids in the team, and Berhalter's trying to work some stuff out. And they only had a couple of training sessions, and there's new faces and new blood and new reasons to be excited regardless. But then I see two veteran center backs get split like that on the Panama goal. And
so you're not blaming it on Reggie Cannon like Stu Holden did.
Stu Holden threw some shade on Reggie Cannon. I think it's probably collective. I think
I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not Reggie Cannon's fault.
Okay.
That's gonna sound me like being a Reggie Cannon apologist because I'm the guy that says like I want him in the team, but it literally isn't his fault. If you go back and watch Gio Reyna, whose man it was that served the cross in. Gio Reyna literally points Cannon to stay on the guy that's making the back run,
right?
So that he stays on the guy with the cross.
And
so everyone's throwing shade at Reggie Cannon, like he just did exactly what he was supposed to do.
And so the Panamanian gets all the time in the world, picks out a cross again. Center backs get split. Somebody's got to pick him up. So I understand there was another runner there, but somebody has to pick up the run right down the gut. But again, okay, let's not dwell on a negative, Jared, because what happened? The United States went up 3-1 by the end of the first half and
showed us their mettle.
Giovanni Reyna, Giovanni Reyna scores his first ever goal in. I still don't think he has enough sauce to own that drop yet. But
I don't know if he can dance to that.
No, okay, off the field. On the field, all the sauce in the world.
Oh, so much sauce.
Yeah, and look, that was a terrible wall, terrible goalkeeping, whatever you want to say on the free kick. But the kid's got talent. Clearly, he is special, and he showed it today.
Way better game. Much better comeback game for him. And so the question to you, Jason, is what was different this game that allowed Gio Reyna to look more like the Gio Reyna that you're used to seeing at Dortmund than the one you saw versus Wales?
Well, we all know the answer. Right?
And or hello.
Is the answer the fact that you had a center forward actually making runs?
Okay. I thought you were going to say it's just merely the competition. And I was like, well, Wales isn't anyone like on Bayern Munich's level, you know.
100% the competition is a level down, and maybe even beyond that for Panama. This is not a strong Panama team by any stretch of the imagination, but I also think that the mechanics of the attack for the United States men's national team worked better. Now, I saw some commentary, I think it was Joe Lowry, who said that he didn't think that Giacchini played that role that much different than Leggett, but he did make some extra runs. Like he did do some things Leggett didn't do, which will open up space in those situations. Clearly,
I'll say this, and Stuart Holden was 100% on point at the halftime. It pisses me off that he said it because I was thinking it. I wanted to say it tonight. Now I'm going to sound like I'm just echoing him, but literally Giacchini in this one game, which is the only game I had to choose to a full game to almost full game to watch him in.
You're not watching
like not weekly.
You got to say Ligue 2.
Ligue 2. He was a very Taylor Twellman-like striker performance. It was be the guy in the box, get your head on stuff. It was very, very similar to that. And which is different than any striker we've had in quite some time. That's not Josie's style.
No.
That's maybe going all the way back to Taylor Twellman. That's someone that's like opportunistic in the box. Wando maybe is a little bit of that.
Yeah.
At his best.
Well, Wando is not a get his head on stuff striker. He is a get his foot on stuff striker. But
Wando knows where the ball is going to fall in the box.
You want a striker. You want a forward who has that instinctual understanding of how to get on the end of stuff, right? And that, as much as Sebastian Lletget deserves some credit for working his butt off in that game against Wales, he's not a guy who instinctively knows how to get on the end of stuff. He's usually the one providing the stuff.
No, the difference between I think it's a bit unfair to say that they played fairly similar. I think Lletget. I didn't see Giacchini dropping into the midfield nearly as much as Sebastian Lletget did in the game where he was playing up top. I think he did a much better. Giacchini did a much better job of stretching the defense.
That's exactly what I mean. That's what I mean by the mechanics working better. Even if he's standing there occupying center backs, even if he's not doing anything effective other than being in that space, that will open things up behind him. Right? That's the idea. And clearly, Giovanni Reyna benefited from that. And honestly, the whole team. Now, what I was going to say in terms of the weirdness of that game is they give up the early goal. They come back with 3. And again, Giovanni Reyna scores his first goal. And we certainly love the fact that he's out there representing the United States after being the son of 2 U.S. national team players. Giacchini scores his 2 goals before halftime. Then you go into this lull period and it was ugly. It was CONCACAF-y, right? It was very much what you would expect in a game against an opponent who knows you, who doesn't like you, who's going to kick you. And the United States got into it too. Weston McKennie should have been sent off in that game. Can we just say that? Can we just?
I don't think so. No, for consistent infringement?
He went. Oh, did you miss the tackle?
Well, okay. If it was the first 5 minutes of the second half, I may have, because I dropped a wine bottle out on the patio and I had to clean it up.
That is the most Jared-ass DuBois thing I've ever.
I wasn't drinking it.
That's actually terrible then. Why did you drop it if you weren't drinking?
It was decorative. It was one we had for like Halloween. We had burnt candles and like for decoration, and I was putting up a sunshade because we had tutoring coming over to our house outside, and I knocked it over and broke a bunch of glass where kids were going to sit.
I told my wife about your Instagram post where you show your empty firewood rack and then your full firewood rack. And I was like, the dude lives in Southern California.
Okay, so I don't have the right to have a fire if it gets in the 40s.
We've already talked about this. I understand.
40s is acceptable, right?
Yes, 40s is absolutely
okay. They get off my back.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. So, again, they go into this lull period. And look, I think what I'm most encouraged by, and look, you get stretched out, you get tired legs, you get substitutions that change the complexion of the game. And so I don't know how much stock you put in the last 10 minutes, but they showed a killer instinct. At the very least, they were like, you know what? Screw this. We're not messing around with you anymore. We're going to go put this thing away. Because they gave up the second goal to Fajardo in the 79th minute, and then they stepped on the gas. I don't even care.
Each time Panama scored, this young U.S. team responded. And that's the kind of thing you want to see. I can even care less that it's 6-2. Really, I really compare. If it was 4-2, I'd be happy because they responded after every goal or something like that. But that's what is more enticing me. They took the lessons to be learned from game 1, applied them to get to game 2. And this goes for Gregg Berhalter as well, who made the right changes from the first lineup to the second, maybe not putting in Tim Ream, but outside of that, and the players made good choices too in their changes. And I'm really, really hyped. I'm hyped up to see that this team is more mature at this age than I can remember other teams I've watched at similar age that were American.
Yeah, I mean, look, whatever you think about that Panama roster and the squad they put out and how strong it was relative to their best, or how good it was in relation to the rest of the world, those were men. Those were adult professional soccer players. And this group with the United States, the oldest player on the field was obviously Tim Ream. The center back pairing, how much you want to put stock into them, whatever. You ended up with Sebastian Lletget on late in the game with a nice run and a header. By the way, didn't do it against Wales. Makes the run.
No, all of our center forwards scored in this game.
That's exactly right. He's 27 or whatever he is, so he's obviously on the older end. But it was the kids who really took control of the game, including McKennie, including Adams, including later on in the game. Even Johnny got involved, I think.
Okay, but I do have an issue with this take right here from Adam Stam. Who was man of the match? Ledesma was solid. I take issue with that.
You don't
I
like
think I think Ledesma had 2 assists that covered up from the fact he was poor in his minutes.
All right.
Constant. Go back and watch this again. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. Constant giveaways. Running around with his chicken with his head cut off. It was not connecting on passes and touches.
Okay.
I think 2 assists covered up very well how out of his league he looked for much of the minutes he was on the field.
Okay,
but
well,
congrats to him. 2 really good serve balls, got 2 assists. And like I said, maybe that's the kind of thing that settles the nerves and makes him play better going forward. But I don't think he looked good in the majority of the minutes he was in the game.
All right. In terms of the player, the man of the match, Morgan says McKennie 100% was involved in all the 3 first half goals. McKennie was his normal, energetic, all over the place, all over the map, cleaning messes up, getting involved.
Yeah,
he's got that edge to him. In fact, I saw it characterized because Panama had gotten stuck in a couple of times. He fouled Reggie Cannon pretty hard, fouled a couple of players pretty hard. I think Gio Reyna had taken a foul, somebody, and it was characterized as Weston McKennie was playing the enforcer. That tackle that you said you missed because you broke your wine bottle.
Yeah.
He went in hard. He went in studs high. He could have been sent off pretty easily in my mind.
You can take the boy to Italy, but you can't take him to CONCACAF out of him.
Apparently he's got the thing now. You see the images he's on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, what are you talking about?
He knows how to play the part.
So,
but I will say this though, in terms of how the game, I don't think he was asked to be the enforcer the whole game. I think that's just the CONCACAF nature of this coming out. The game changed when Tyler Adams went out of it. That's the way I felt about it in terms of the control in midfield. The reason McKennie was asked to do so much in the back half of this game, I think when Adams came out and Johnny Cardoso came in, there's a definite drop. And you expect it to be, but sure. I definitely felt that the center backs for the American defense was asked to do more. They're constantly getting run at, where Tyler Adams was doing a really good job. I mean, you guys go back and watch these last 2 games. If you really want to understand what makes Tyler Adams good, watch him every time he's in the margin of your screen. Yeah, watch the margin of the screen, not where the ball's at. Watch the margin of the screen.
Most of the time, he's not going to be in the screen.
That's not in the margin of the screen. You could see him playing these little half angles that are always cheating to see if he can get into the passing lane of where a ball goes. Like he is playing it so tight. It's really, really fun to watch him. If you're a fan of not the flashy stuff and the hard work that's done on the field and how it goes unrecognized, watch Tyler Adams' game in the margins.
We do have phone lines if you guys want to call 717-727-2378. Give us your take on this match. And again, you can follow up what you saw against Wales with what you saw today against Panama. It was 6-2. All the goals came finally, but we expected that. I think there were obviously some moments and, people were saying, Panama deserved that second goal, that kind of thing. There was a tackle and a lack of recovery and switching off a bit, which scares me. But they were obviously up in that game and it had gotten very, very physical. So I'm kind of giving them the pass to learn, Jared. Yeah. To learn on the job. I mean, they don't. When you get hired at Subway, they don't ask you to make the chicken bacon ranch like 10 minutes after you get there. You have to watch some people do it. You have to try 1 or 2.
What do they ask you to do?
I actually don't know the answer to that question. I never worked.
Make the cookies.
That seems actually harder than the chicken bacon ranch.
Did I ever tell you that I had friends that ran a Subway when we were like 16? No, 19, right out of high school. And they would give my buddy the keys and we would just go into the walk-in freezer and eat cookie dough all night long. And then he would always mark that he dropped a pan of bread, and that was all of the free sandwiches that we would get because they count the bread. That's how they make sure they keep you on track. They count the bread.
Right. Oh, it's incredible. All right. So a couple of things that we got going on here in the chat that I think are interesting. Did you like Dest on the left side or the right side going forward after tonight? So against Wales, he played on the right side. Against Panama, he plays on the left. Reggie Cannon comes in. We talked about Anthony Robinson after that Wales game. I'm not sold on him. I don't think he's good enough in possession in this team with this kind of setup. Yeah. He can occasionally drop a cross on you, but I don't like him. I think he's also susceptible to turning the ball over high up the field, which is
to answer the question. Des was better on the right, but he wasn't offensively. He was better on the right, but he wasn't so much better that I feel like I don't want Reggie Cannon in this lineup.
Right. That's my take too. I think Dest is an upgrade over Anthony Robinson on the left, and Reggie Cannon is better than Robinson is better on the right than Robinson is on the left.
What he gives you on the right is worth the drop off slightly you get from Dest on the left. And even on the left, he was still dangerous, especially with Gio Reyna. The question is, how is that partnership going to work when it's Pulisic over there? And is it going to be Pulisic's job on the left?
Yeah. So, and by the way, that is something too that changed, right? From the game against Wales where Gio Reyna was on the right, he played a lot more on the left-hand side. Yeah. in this match against Panama, which
so it makes you wonder if Gregg Berhalter is really trying to make sure those two guys get used to working together because he sees them as a tandem.
Maybe, but I do think it was weird because what does Giovanni Reyna want to do when he's on the left-hand side? He wants to cut in on his right foot. He wants to play to his right side. If Serginho Dest is on the right left side, sorry, in this case, he's on the left side. He's a right-footed player. He wants to do the same thing. So now you don't quite have the width there. Now against Panama, it's not nearly as much of a problem as it would be against better competition. But don't you think you're limiting yourself if you're playing both those players on the left-hand side and both of their instincts are to cut further infield? Because you don't have the overlap. You're not creating width. They did a good job of it on the right-hand side. They created width on the right-hand side.
But that dynamic's going to be there no matter what if you play Dest on the left. Because if it's not Gio Reyna, it's Christian Pulisic, who's plays the same way. He's right-footed player on the left-hand side. So the argument is basically null and void if Dest is on the left, because either way, that's the situation you're going to be in. And I do think it presents problems. Well, until someone arrives that can play left back consistently at the higher level that Reggie Cannon can play right back, I think it's a problem we're just going to have to deal with.
Okay, I also think that, the interchange is going to be part of this. You're going to see, if it's Gio and Pulisic on the wings, you're going to see them flip-flop all the time. That's going to happen quite a bit, I think, depending on what the matchups are like and depending on how the other team is playing them, depending on how the game is going. Let's go to the phone lines. Christian in Houston. I think everybody wants to take issue with Richie Ledesma take, Jared.
Oh,
Christian wants to talk about.
We got a bunch of blind listeners.
Christian, man, that's mean. Christian, what's up?
Hey, how are y'all doing?
What's up, Christian?
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, man, go ahead.
Hello? Okay, yeah, so I don't even necessarily disagree with the Ledesma take as much as it is that I think in CONCACAF we're going to see a lot of teams bunker that deep. And it feels like the thing that's been a part of Ledesma's game is his accuracy and things like that. So I don't know if I'd bring him to a match against a European team, but what are y'all thoughts on
so you're saying he's the?
that accuracy is.
Well, look, the I don't have the stats in front of me, and maybe I should pull them up. The number of crosses they put in, and maybe it's just learning each other a little bit more and again utilizing width, Jared. But the number of crosses they put in today, significantly higher than what they did against
four-headed goals out of the 6 or something like that.
I mean,
but listen, it's nice to know that you had that other way of playing if you need it. And I do agree that Ledesma's service was really good, and I think his one assist for PSV was a similar service this year, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to remember. I watched it a while back, but
it was.
Okay, so yeah, definitely. Maybe he's our new Eddie Lewis with the right foot. I don't know, but I don't think what I saw with him on the ball, combining with other players at this point, shows me he's a player that should be in the full camp consistently. But I think it's really, really positive to see that we have a player that can play a ball like that into space, which is the type of player you want if you're going to play a bombing kind of right back. Like if Reggie Cannon's going to go forward or Serginho Dest is going forward, you want a guy that they can, when they get to the end line, they cut the ball back, first time service in from that guy playing on the right wing, which is what Ledesma could potentially provide.
Yeah, he's bringing you service from that position. And if you get those runners, like we talked about, if you have a center forward who can get on the end of stuff, and as you mentioned, Jared, all the center forwards, Jack Keeney scored twice, Sebastian Soto scoring in this game as well. And I thought again, it's so hard to figure this out. Don't put too much stock in it. It's weak competition in a friendly, in an empty stadium on the other side of the world, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you just want to see progress. You can't hate on the progress. You can't hate on the good things. You just have to be careful about overrating any of this stuff.
Okay, so we still have Christian on the line, or are we? I don't know. Should we still on the line?
Yeah, he's still there.
Oh. Okay, so Christian, quick question for you then. So Richie Ledesma, in the depth chart of where he finds useful, you've got Lucianas that it's shown well over the last 2 games. You got Jordan Morris. You obviously have. I'm taking Giovanni Reyna and Christian Pulisic out of it. They're up there. They're gonna be starters. Depth chart. Yeah, where does Richie Ledesma show? Because if he's third behind those other guys, I don't think he really has a spot right now in this national team.
Yeah, I don't even know if he's up there at the moment. I'm just thinking about the amount of games that we're going to have to play between World Cup qualifying. My guess is we're going to see a decent amount of rotation between the camps. I can't remember the exact scheduling for it, but depending on some of those camps, maybe it's not one where he goes to the Azteca and plays, but it's maybe one where we know we're going to be in Honduras and having to pull off that kind of play. I don't know.
Great for the Olympic team.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. I mean, what you had today, and some of these players may have quote unquote graduated, But if you're eligible, and let's say you have a summer that's otherwise open, although there is also a Gold Cup, maybe you want to go to the Olympics. It's certainly Richie Ledesma wants to play in the Olympics. Uli Yanes wants to play in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Who knows if McKennie or Adams or any of those other guys will also. And I don't think Berhalter's really laid the groundwork for any of that yet, right? This is going to be a B team Gold Cup. It's going to be an Olympics, which could mean a lot for the United States. Certainly building confidence. If I guess, Jared, this is the question. Like, thanks for the call, Chris. I'm gonna let you go. If I can present this way. Take the strongest team possible to the Olympics because you should have a shot at a gold medal based on the amount of talent you have in that age group, or give some of those players graduation to the senior team and give them an experience, say at the Gold Cup, which is more of a senior level tournament, even if it is an off year.
Okay, just to be clear, we're saying that there's the World Cup qualifying team is just untouched. We're talking about those tier players underneath that aren't World Cup qualifier, but we have the choice between those two.
Well, I do think there's going to be this. I know this muddies the waters, okay, but again, there's going to be some choices to be made. I don't expect Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic, Gio Reyna to be on the Gold Cup team at any. No. I don't expect them to be on the Gold Cup team.
No, nor the eligible ones to be on the Olympic team.
What do you? No, I kind of think that it's possible that they're in the Olympic. Yeah, I think it's possible.
The Olympics don't matter, dude. It's not diving.
Well, okay, so but again, this is you're getting ready for qualifying to start in September. Okay.
But here's the thing: if you're a decathlete,
not diving.
Olympics is really important. It's every 4 years. It's all you got.
I know that.
We didn't make a World Cup.
No,
like,
I
that needs to be our focus.
But don't you? Okay. Let me ask this question in a different way then. Okay. Which tournament prepares you better for World Cup qualifying? The Olympic tournament or the Gold Cup tournament? As a player, as a team, whatever. Take it whatever you want.
Man, I am actually going to tell you, I think it's the Gold Cup, and here's why. You're playing against men.
Okay.
You're playing against men. You're playing against grown-ass men, and you're playing the best the country has, potentially, normally, in a normal Gold Cup year. But I still think it's probably a better experience playing actual teams of players you potentially could see in meaningful games versus the youth squads where half these guys are going to burn out, and they're never going to be good enough for most of these guys that go to the Olympics. Only half of them work out.
No, I get that. It's very and look,
the experience of being at the Village and stuff like that. That's cool and all, but
Aaron's got a good point. We're deep enough that we can put together a very good Olympic team, even if we don't take some of those age eligible players that are definitely starters for the senior national team. I guess I'm just wondering, and I actually do think you're right, because you have a very good chance, not 100%, but you have a very good chance of playing Mexico at the Gold Cup, whether it's their B team or not. You get to line up against Mexico, and there are players, and we have limited time between now and the World Cup qualifiers, right? I think Gregg Berhalter said there are four games or 4 opportunities between now and World Cup qualifying to see these guys.
Take Brad Guzan and go to the Olympics. Literally take a couple overage players. Guzan's a great choice for a guy for being an overage player to go to that, because you're not taking like Stefan or anyone. You're probably not gonna take a U23 keeper.
Are you not
right?
taking back Stefan? Maybe.
I don't think so,
dude. For guys who aren't getting consistent minutes, if Zach, what is Zach Stefan going to do during that period? He's going to play the Gold Cup?
Rest from? Oh, I guess I would normally be resting from your club season, but I guess for him,
he's going to be super fresh, dude. You're talking about being fresh.
You're assuming he's not going to just catch fire.
I'm presuming that Ederson's not going to get hurt and be knocked out of the lineup for the next 3 months, 4 months, 5 months.
That might be the one position that ends up going, but I'm still okay if he's just like Brad Guzan and going. But here's what I want to talk. Here's what question I want to ask you though. Out of these 2 games, give me 2 players whose stock was who improved the most, who impressed you the most over 2 games.
Who impressed?
And it can't be the premier guys. I don't want to hear about the premier guys. I don't want to hear about Weston McKennie and Tyler Adams.
So you are taking Giovanni Reyna off the table, even though he's only played 2 senior games.
Giovanni Reyna's okay. He's his first debut. So for guys with 5 caps or less, who is the guys that you want to see back when it is the actual full team? You can bring anyone you want. Christian Pulisic's in. Potentially Jordan Morris is in.
It's the guy that's not even cap tied to us yet. It's Yunus Musa. I want Yunus Musa.
Absolutely. That's the 3. I'm sorry. Those are the 3. That midfield, that's the midfield.
So, I don't see. You're going to go so far as to say that if you're locking it in, right now. You're saying that this should be the midfield trio anytime the United States plays a meaningful match. from here on out as long as they're healthy? Is that what you're telling me?
I think as long as the future Giovanni Reyna and Christian Pulisic is at the far wings of the front three, yes. If 3G is dedicated to having Jordan Morris in this lineup, then potentially no, and Giovanni Reyna falls into that slot.
Okay, give me. I think. By the way, I think it is Yunus Musa. It's just a matter of, does he play for the United States? And I think that if you want to try to read the tea leaves, and there's lots of things that are going to go into that decision for him. And I've always said, I want players to pick the country that feels right for them. I don't want to force anybody to play for the United States. I'm not going to get mad at him if he doesn't want to play for us. It's his choice, right? It's his right. I think if you're trying to read the tea leaves, if you're watching all the social media, if you're seeing what he did on the field, if you're seeing that massive grin he had before the game against Wales and how happy he seems to be in this group.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not guaranteeing anything, Jared, but it seems to me like.
Also, I got the feeling that Gareth Southgate didn't appreciate the.
You know what? Here's a really, really good point. It's actually kind of tragic and sad, but here's a really good point somebody made, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist, but yeah, this is something that matters. Think about what is going on with Marcus Rashford right now in England. Okay.
Yeah.
So Marcus Rashford pushes for this scheme to pay for school lunches, to give kids food because, it's COVID-19, it's a pandemic. It's hard. Families are struggling. They would normally get their kids fed at school. It's not happening. They push through something because he brings all this public pressure. They push back. The Conservatives, the Tories push back against him. Now the Daily Mail, which is a rag, don't read it. It's terrible. It's trash. Makes this big deal about how he has multiple £2 million plus homes, while of course he's pushing this scheme to feed these hungry kids. And it's like, whoa, like he's completely allowed and it's within his rights. And by the way, those £2 million, that's not even that much money for a house.
So you're saying that Yunus Musa wouldn't want to be part of that tabloid kind of England nature?
I believe that is the argument. Yes. That as soon as you become an England player, you are in the crosshairs. And if you are a black England player, it's a different experience. Now, I'm not saying it's all roses and puppy dogs and rainbows.
Have you seen our jerseys?
I'm saying that clearly in the team and the atmosphere and obviously outside with the media, whatever, we're not in that position where our paparazzi and our tabloid media is going after our soccer players. It's just not a thing.
No, I mean, it's not much different than what LeBron James gets in terms of hate.
Yeah, but LeBron James is the best basketball player in the world, and
for sure. And I don't know if Yunus Musa is looking at that level. That's a pretty mature for a 17-year-old to think that way. Maybe he does,
But what does a 17-year-old do when they need to make a big decision? Who do they go to? Who do they talk to? They talk to their parents. They talk to their friends. They ask for advice. And I think, again, I'm not trying to psychoanalyze the kid. It's not my right. As he's about to be 18. He's still very young, but he gets to make his own choices. But you look at what happened with Serginho Dest, because what does Dest say every single time he's asked, why did you pick the United States? Do you regret picking the U.S.? He says, they supported me. They made me feel wanted.
Oh, yeah. So one thing that Triple G's definitely got right is bring this kid into a camp that has Serginho Dest there that's going to talk his ear. They better be roommates. I don't know who his roommate was, but it should have been Serginho Dest. Yeah. Honestly. Yeah. I mean, for one thing, they both play in La Liga, so that helps. They got that in common now. Yeah. And they're going to see each other 2 times a year, at least on those games, when they play each other. And I just think that being able to share that experience and that it feels like a positive for Serginho Dest, I think, and it goes for Giochini, that goes for Soto, who has Chilean, I believe, opportunities.
Yeah.
There's for any guys out there that are dual nationals, that this camp was a decision maker for them. They're obviously not Musa. Is that Musa's being heavily courted for both teams, and he was established at the England youth level.
Yeah.
These other guys, they're probably happy to be in the Euro camp because someone's noticing them, but still. They're making an environment where these things are being talked about, and they're seeing examples of people who it's worked out for.
I am convinced, and maybe this is a little bit of dreaming on my part. Okay. But, and because I talk about this all the time with the radio show, I have a radio show. Did you know that I have a radio show?
It's been mentioned to me.
Okay. I talk about this all the time on the radio show, that for years and years and years, the determining factor in whether a dual national picked the United States over another country was the power balance, right? The relative quality of the teams. So if you had a dual national who had an option, and by the way, playing time is part of this, right? If a player can play for Germany and get minutes, and John Brooks is obviously a very good player, but he always knew it was going to be really, really tough for him to get minutes with Germany. He didn't.
Mark Hummels is still in that spot.
He didn't pick the United States.
Did I say Mark?
Mark Hummels. That's that
I said
guy.
Mark for some reason.
Like he lives 3 doors down, and he's got a
Matt Hummels.
he's working on his Dodge Charger in his spare time.
No, Mark Hamill. I think was in my head.
Okay. John Brooks did not pick the United States because he bleeds red, white, and blue. I think he feels American. I know he is American. He has every right to claim Americanness, and I'm sure that's part of his mentality. But if he was in line to be a starting center back for Germany when he had to make his choice, he would not be playing for the United States of America, right? Can we agree
Probably
on
not.
that?
No,
okay.
Probably not.
I think, and maybe it's Sergiño Dest all by his lonesome. Maybe he is the chosen one who gets to help push the us into a new era. But I think it's changed a little bit. And maybe it's just the young generation of talent. When you see McKennie at Juventus and Pulisic at Chelsea and Reina at Dortmund, when you're a dual national and you have a choice to make, maybe you now are thinking, I'd rather be part of that. It's like joining the hottest band on the planet, or up-and-coming band. Maybe they're not selling out Wembley yet, but they're obviously everybody's excited about it. Whereas if you join an established program that's got multiple layers of players who are coming in, everybody plays in the same league in England or Spain.
It's also like, listen, come to the USA and be part of a movement of people your age. Be a part of it. That we are fielding more people his age in our starting team.
Yeah,
and you can be part of this generation that's going to do something.
As opposed to a singular player in a team like England. They may have 2 or 3 or 4 in a given camp. Yeah. It's something. There's always that extra age element and the hierarchy. I'm just guessing, but I think it's interesting again because Sergiño Dest is the first player I can think of who might have gotten time, been a player that Holland would have put into their starting lineup at some point in meaningful matches, who chose to play for the weaker program. And even if the Dutch miss a World Cup, they are still a stronger program than the United States of America, right?
Definitely.
It feels like something has changed. Something is in the air, a crackle in the air. And now, there's been a spell cast and it's happening. And I think maybe Yunus Musa will fall into that spell.
Okay, so Yunus Musa, both of us have this one of the top risers in the people 5 caps or under. Who's the other one?
The other riser.
Who's the other person that's like 5 caps or less? I want to see more of that dude.
I could cop out and say Giovanni Reina, but that's probably not right. Look, I know it was a function of Panama being Panama and the difference between the first performance against Wales and this one. But we're so thin at striker. And Josh Sargent's not scoring goals, that, hey, give Gioacchini a chance. Like, bring him in. I know he's in the 2nd division in France, but maybe he is on the come up in the next 8 months, 10 months, and he's playing in the 1st division by the time we get to World Cup qualifying.
Yeah, I'm down for either him or Soto. I actually thought Soto, the way he played, made more sense for the USA, to be honest with you. But I think you can't deny the opportunistic nature just the striker's personality that Gioacchini seems to have. But I thought Soto's movement off the ball, I think he got 2 goals in a half that was far less superior in how it was played between the two, and still found his way into 2 goals in good position. And I thought he stretched the defense more, and I think he plays a style that I thought looked better in a 4-3-3 with the U.S.
Okay, well, that's fair, and so Soto certainly should be in line for something coming up. He's also Olympic eligible. Again, he may be a player that goes to Japan if that's something that that comes up next year, a choice. And by the way, I imagine somebody mentioned Tim Weah earlier. We can spend a couple minutes on him. I imagine there may be a situation because remember last year Tim Weah passed up the Gold Cup to go play in the U20 World Cup because he had been part of that team and he wanted to continue that run.
And he looked good in that World Cup.
This may be presented to them. It may be a situation. I mean, again, maybe not Tyler, maybe not Weston, depending on what else is going on. But I also don't think you want them sitting there idle for a summer either. And so, again, it's a question of World Cup or Olympics or Gold Cup. And you could use the Gold Cup to be – certainly you could use the Gold Cup with MLS players. And I know the chat doesn't like MLS players and wants no MLS players near this team. But there's going to be a couple. Right, especially with in depth spots. So whatever you think of Jordan Morris, he's useful if you need to go down to Central America and play games. And
listen, honestly, not just that. Over the last 2 years, I don't think there's an American player that has produced more statistically, like goals, assists, dangerous positions, than Jordan Morris over the last 2 years. Even I'm take this last year out, 3 years then. I think Jordan Morris has probably the best track record. Does that mean I want him starting? I'm not so sure, but there's a legitimate claim that can be made that he understands the way that Berhalter wants to play and has got production out of it.
Think about the difference in style of play. I mean, obviously, look, I think it's easy for us to go, it should always be Gio Reyna. It should always be Gio Reyna. It should always be Christian Pulisic. It should always, and maybe it should be. I mean, Pulisic, I certainly think, has multiple facets to his game that would provide for, and he's been through the CONCACAF ringer, so he certainly knows about getting knocked around. But if you have a game where Jordan Morris's straight line speed is going to be more effective against a slower back line or against a team that likes to push their fullbacks up and you can create space that way, then maybe Jordan Morris is the choice, not over Gio Reyna. You could always move him around. He's versatile. We talked about, you could slide him into the midfield. Now, maybe that means Musa doesn't play, but that's okay sometimes, right? What I'm saying is we should not be looking at this as a locked in first 11 and nobody else gets into this team ever, because there are going to be matchups that dictate you need other bodies. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and not every team you're playing against is the same. You want to take advantage of some of the chinks in the armor of other teams. You know? And if there's a matchup opportunity, then you go after it. I think Julianis, I want to see more of him as well. I think that far more than what I saw from Carlos de la Fuente. I thought Julianis was consistently dangerous and in good position and making good movements. I think he understands the system quite well. And you see, I like him a lot. Plus, he's got great hair.
Well, I mean, we mentioned the hair several times.
It's got like anime hair.
He's got the hair you wish you could pull off.
What are you talking about?
At this point, like, no, don't. First of all, quit knocking your microphone around like an amateur. Okay.
I'm just saying, look at this. I mean, that's just hat hair. I'm still good.
It's
not on the podcast. You're really missing out on the live shows.
It's not Uliana's hair. It's not even.
If Julianis was 43 years old, this might be what it looks like. I mean, I come from the nice track record of success.
I'm going to ask you a question. I threw this out on Twitter earlier today, and I've got a ton of responses. Some of them are pretty good. And you can take it seriously if you want. Like, I know you have your spots, especially in SoCal. But if you were in charge of, since we talked about Yunus Musa and the dual national thing, if you were in charge of recruiting Yunus Musa, you were his recruitment liaison, okay? He came to the United States, and they said, hey, Jared, Yunus is here. We need you to show him a good time so that he chooses the United States over England, over anybody else. Where are you taking Yunus Musa? Now, there's a difference maybe now between now and a month from now.
Has he ever had chicken and waffles?
That's a good question. I would guess no. So you want to take him for chicken and waffles?
I'm just saying, like, there's a changing moment in your life the first time you have good chicken and waffles.
Oh, I love chicken and waffles.
Show him the things he can't get somewhere else. Don't take him to a strip club or something like that. Like, you can get a strip club.
That was
even Nikki Soup and Sausage said Vegas. He got Monte Carlo if he wants that kind of vibe.
Let's bring in Nikki Soup and Sausage real quick because I want to get his take on this. Now, and I'm not asking anybody to break the law. Now, if you want to do something slightly shady, if you want to sneak him in somewhere, I'm not going to say don't do it. I'm just going to say, keep in mind that there are things you could be morally dicey with because he doesn't turn 18 until November 29th. So he's still got about a month and a half before you get there.
So what you doing, Nick?
Nick, you're going to take him to Vegas now? You're going to wait until he's 18? I mean, what are you doing?
Well, even if he goes at 18, he can't do anything.
That's true.
Well, he can go to some of the places.
Things. It's just whether or not you have the pull in Vegas to get him in. That's
right.
That's the thing.
I forgot about the whole age factor. So maybe I need to think about my Vegas thoughts.
This week, when you have Grant Wall from the stands, you need to ask him if Freddie Adu ever got into those clubs early.
Oh! I think we all know the answer to Freddie Adu getting in early.
At what age? What age do you think Freddie Adu got into his first club?
Freddie Adu was sitting in the VIP of a club in DC, New York, name it, at 14 years old. I guarantee he was sitting in that VIP section.
Okay, Nick, where are you taking him?
It.
Man, that's tough.
Disneyland.
You can't take him to Pirate Rhino. You can't take him to. Where are you taking him?
That's a tough one.
He can gamble at 18, right? But he can't drink.
No, I don't think you can gamble at 18. I went to Vegas when I was 19 and couldn't.
Vegas is 21 in Vegas. Okay.
Wait. No, 18 to gamble, 21 to drink.
That's what I thought.
When I
18
went to
gamble.
Vegas, when I was 19, I was not allowed to gamble.
Maybe they shouldn't like the look of you. They're like, oh, no, you can't.
All I know is I
positive
spent a whole night in Vegas at GameWorks playing video games versus sitting at a blackjack
Well, you
table.
don't know. Maybe Eunice Musa would like that. Maybe you take him to the video game place. You know, you show him the eye or whatever.
I just think it needs to be
The
food
link.
related. You got to give him a kind of food he can't get in Europe. That's what I'm saying. Someone said barbecue. That's a good. You take
Barbecue,
some good
okay,
barbecue.
right barbecue place though, and there are different.
Oh, don't start that conversation.
I don't want to do it. I'm just going to say.
Can he get a good taco in Spain? I don't know.
Well,
It's more of a Mexican thing.
No, that's true. So if you want to show him a good taco, I think that's a.
Well, if you want to show him a good taco, you can also take him to some of the other places we've been talking about.
Don't take him for paella, for example, in the United States. He can get good paella in Spain. He doesn't need your paella. Take him for tacos. Take him for barbecue. Take him for
food tacos. Yes.
Those. What is happening here? What?
Oh my god.
Okay.
Only Jared.
You know what the most popular answer on Twitter was today?
What's that?
Magic City in Atlanta, Georgia. Now,
Isn't that a strip club?
It's a strip club. It is.
Man, you can't be taking no kid to a strip club.
No, everybody says you go for the wings. That's why you go to Magic City for the wings. Why is it? By the way, why is it that strip clubs always manage to pull this trick where it's like, oh yeah, they got the best prime rib in town, the strip club. Is that just an excuse to get for businessmen to go to the strip club? Like, I need the best prime rib in town.
Yeah, good luck getting that expense approved.
If you have thoughts on where to take Eunice Musa, and look, you could say, I think I'd see what I got. I got Waffle House a couple times.
I want a caller. I want a caller to call in. We got about 80 people in the chat right now. I want a caller to call in and tell me what our center back options are, because that's the part that worries me most coming out of these two games. Because we put Tim Ream in this game for some reason instead of Chris Richards, what could have been a nice, fun debut for the kid. I don't know what we get out of having
in, right? He played in this game.
Yeah, like the last 10 minutes or something like that.
Again, he's also very young. He's also not like. I know the rest of them are young too, but
what does playing Tim Ream for 80 minutes in this game teach you or give you if you're Gregg Berhalter?
What I think is that what my guess is, I'm not saying it was the right one, because Berhalter certainly made some mistakes over these two games. My guess is that he thought Tim Ream had a better understanding of the system from a possession standpoint. I
totally understand why you don't play John Brooks. I get it. Known entity. He doesn't have to prove anything after the last game. For me, man of the match, starting for center back. Don't take the chance. He's that injury-ridden career hit in and out.
Build a statue. Yeah.
Let him just have some fun, chill on the bench for this one, be part of the team, nothing to prove. Everyone else is auditioning for the second job. And if maybe Tim Ream's still auditioning for it, maybe he has a chance in Berhalter's mind. I don't get it if he does, though.
Okay. Now, here's again. I know that Ken the King arrives, who we just dropped into the show with his comment. He's not an MLS player support. He doesn't think MLS players should be near this team. So he says, it teaches us that Ream is a bum, like we all thought. Brooks at left center back, Richards and Miazga battling for right center back. No one else matters. I don't think that's right. I think Aaron Long absolutely has a chance to be part of this rotation.
Again, Walker Zimmerman has a chance. I think Mark McKenzie has a chance. I think they're all auditioning for one spot.
Okay. You think right now, and this is all based on club form, but right now, who are you picking for that spot?
I think it's Aaron Long's to lose still, because the last time when we left you, he was the center back pairing with John Brooks. I haven't seen anything from Tim Ream over this game and Matt Miazga over the last two that make me feel differently yet. That being said, Aaron Long went through a stretch in the middle of the season where he did not look good for the New York Red Bulls. I think he turned it around a bit towards the end. But I still think it's his to lose until someone else can get national team minutes that show otherwise. That means you got to get McKenzie into a camp. That means you got to get Zimmerman into a camp. And right now, that's not possible. This
is the problem, that you have limited time, and you won't have the full team together again until March. And that's going to be, what is that going to be? I can't even remember. I think that is a friendly window, because they push the Nations League to June. So the March window is a friendly window. You should be able to have the full team together then. He is planning. That's a long time from now. And the only other opportunity you have to see them at the moment is in a December camp that Berhalter's talking about that is almost certain to be fully MLS, because that'll be post-MLS season. So you've got an MLS group together.
But here's the thing, though. Like, you really have to get John Brooks with a guy. That's the problem right now.
I
Is that
know,
we need to
that's
see
what
John
I'm
Brooks
saying.
with another guy that is legit
Not
for
gonna
the
happen
job.
until March. Not going to happen until March. So between what can happen between now and March? The MLS season is about to end. They're going to start play probably March of 2021. So Mark McKenzie, Aaron Long, Walker Zimmerman are going to be sitting on their butts when their teams go out of the playoffs, if and when that happens, or even by December 12th when the MLS Cup final is played. They're going to be sitting on their butts between now and March, except for that.
Here's a better question for you then. Those three people we just said, McKenzie, Zimmerman, Long, do those guys have to make the leap to Europe this winter to really have a shot at this?
No, I don't think that. Okay, I don't think that's the way Berhalter is thinking. So again, everybody can rail about the MLS.
You don't think, but if any of those guys moves to Europe, that means they're now on the cycle where they get to play with John Brooks if the COVID environment keeps looking like this.
Well, there's also
they get to audition with the guy.
I will also say
that's an advantage Miazga has over everyone else right now.
If you make the jump to Europe in the winter window, you go in January. It's conceivable that you're training and playing games if you are managed to get minutes, and who knows, you're doing that 2-3 months ahead of every MLS player, right? So if again, Mark McKenzie can go to Europe. And Adam says if McKenzie plays with Boa Vista, does he take a starting spot? I don't know if Boa Vista's center back situation right now, but we see what Reggie Cannon is doing. Reggie Cannon, who's taking a flamethrower to Major League Soccer while he's over there in Portugal, saying you can't be in Major League Soccer. You got to get to Europe. The environment's too comfortable. The competition here is so much better. And again, I don't begrudge him the right to say that if that's his opinion. And probably every young American player should be angling for that. So maybe if Long may be stuck. I don't know what Red Bulls are looking at with him, and he's.
I wish Fishkin was in the chat this week because I'd like to know when his contract's up. I'm not sure because that Red Bulls have done him dirty. They've done him dirty this last 3 years.
I mean, you can certainly look at it that way. If Mark McKenzie goes to Europe in January, and we have no insider information that anything that's happening at the moment, Celtic was the last club mentioned, and they came in way under valuation. If he makes the jump, and let's say it is to like Portugal or something, I'm not talking about the Premier League. I'm not talking Bundesliga. But if he makes the jump to a middling European league, does he immediately shoot over Aaron Long, Walker Zimmerman in your mind? I mean, you have him already there?
No, he's still got to do the job. He still has to stand next to John Brooks in a game and show that he can play with him and he can combine with him and that he can be the answer. But it gives him an advantage in being able to be on the European cycle to get the opportunity to do that. Because the next time these are going to play, John Brooks won't be there. He won't be there. So they're going to be auditioning with each other, which gives you something. But still, there is a lock at center back. And until you can see how he plays, that's why Miazga has the advantage right now. It's unfortunate because I don't think he's the answer.
All right.
But here's a pick your poison for you then regarding what you just said. Should Mark McKenzie be at Celtic or Boa Vista?
Boa Vista over Celtic 100 times out of 100.
Why is that?
Because I don't think the competition in Scotland after Rangers is decent at all. I think it's all crap beyond those two teams. And yes, you can get European games, and that's a good thing for McKenzie if he ends up there. But I don't think the level is high enough week over week to make you that much better of a player.
I agree with you for another reason as well. Having both of potential starting defenders at the same team is an advantage.
Well, by the way, the Boa Vista thing was just a hypothetical thrown out. I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, just because we said that. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
and you could also throw in an Anderlecht or a Bruges or some club in Belgium. I mean, I think I would be fine with McKenzie landing there. By the way, of course, that Anderlecht is where Miazga is right now. If you ended up with Miazga and McKenzie in the same club, forget about it.
I'm still convinced the company would be working on both of them.
I want to see I want to see that growth for sure. And by the way, I don't think that Berhalter is going to make any delineation between Europe and MLS unless it's very clear.
This is an interesting take right here from Nicholas Murray. He says Aronson will probably cycle in. He'd be a great option for the Olympics after he gets settled Salzburg. I'm going to take this line of thought, take it one step more. Next European camp, Aronson will be available as a European player.
Yeah.
If he was in this camp right now, whose spot would he have taken in these games? Where is he in the depth of these other players that are in there?
I think you're talking Ledesma, right? I think he beats out Ledesma for this.
He beats out Ledesma. Does he beat out Musa?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Does he beat out Yuli Yanez? Because he can play in the front of the three as well.
He can. I think he's better in midfield. I think he would probably be in that Musa role if you were going to give him time. But again, that's where Ledesma. I mean, whatever. I think that he's that. I think he pushes out one or two players. I don't think it's Musa. I think it's probably Ledesma. I could see Yanez also losing out to him just at this moment, but I think Yanez is obviously talented, and you give him another year. And he
it also depends if Aronson sees minutes at Salzburg or not.
Yeah, that exactly. What we think he's going to, but we don't know. By the way, Szoboszlai is probably going to get sold. So that's going to open up. And Jesse Marsh basically told Grant Wall that Szoboszlai is going to get sold in the winter window. So that could open up the opportunity for more of an opportunity for Aronson to sort of step in and get those minutes. So
yeah, it'd be great to see if he's getting Champions League minutes. That would be fantastic for the young player like that.
Yeah. All right. Phone lines, if you want to get in here, 717-727-2378. I wanted to do this. All right. Give me your so you had over these two games, you got a really good look at a lot of European-based players. Obviously, there is at least one player we know would be in the starting lineup if available, in Christian Pulisic. You could argue about the center forward position, but how many of these players how many locks did we see? Locks for a starting lineup in a game, in a meaningful match in World Cup qualifying did we see over these two games, Jared?
You saw Stefan, you saw Brooks, you saw Dest. I think it's not a lock for you, but for me, Reggie Cannon. I think obviously Adams, McKinney, that's 5. Musa, well, I want to say it. That's way too early. Way too early right now for that.
Do that. Yeah, you can't put him in that category.
Giovanni Reina, I'm not sure what position.
Yeah, definitely on the field somewhere.
And that might be it.
That's it. Yeah. Because you played this weird makeshift center forward situation.
That's 6 positions on the field.
So 6 of the 11 that would be in a starting lineup.
Obviously, Pulisic's in this camp and a lock if healthy, but not playing in these 2 games.
Yeah. Okay. So so now that you have those 6 identified,
and I honestly think that's the only other lock that we're not talking about. There's 6 of the locks. I think there's only 7 locks in this team right now.
You don't. Okay. So those positions that are not locks are right center back.
Yep. The third person in the midfield.
Well, hold on.
Which could be Reina.
Hold on a second. You put Reggie as a lock.
Again, I put Reggie as a lock.
Stretch. Okay, we'll do it. All right. So one position in the back line, right center back. One position in the midfield. That's Musa's position that he played in these 2 games.
Yeah.
Center forward,
and the other person on the outside, which is Pulisic. If we go to 7, there's a 7th lock.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yes, obviously Pulisic is there. So what you're saying, like if Pulisic was available, he would have started. He obviously is the player that's in the lineup if you play a meaningful match. That means there are only 3 spots up for grabs?
I think so. Do you think there's more than that?
No, I think you're probably right. Which is,
I mean, you could have a conversation about the right back situation, but I think what I saw over these 2 games are our best options. Is there a better fullback option than Anthony Robinson, Reggie Cannon, and Dest? Maybe Yedlin, but does he have a team right now?
No, he doesn't have a team. I don't know if he's in the picture. I think if anything, you're talking about young players who aren't quite there yet, like Sam Vines in Colorado, that kind of thing.
The drop-off's too big.
No, and Julian
Nick Lima, stuff like that. But the drop-off's too large right now. Those are your ones.
Okay. So if that's the case, what do you? I guess so. And we're talking about the players that would be competing for those spots. We've already talked about center back. Again, if Musa declares, he's going to get starting minutes, I think, at some point. Obviously, we've talked about the options. Maybe Brendan Aronson cycles in. Leggett is obviously there. And I know not everybody's super high on him, but he knows the system and he's still in his prime and he's got a veteran savvy. Okay, but who's your starter then in that third midfield spot? You're not locking in Musa simply because of his age, but is there an obvious candidate for that job right now?
There is, but I'm going to have to do some tinkering and you're not going to like it. Is Giovanni Reina, do you bring Jordan Morris into Giovanni Reina's
I don't think that's going to happen, though. I'm
just telling you, that's how I see it being handled.
Okay, but I don't think that Berhalter would have played Reina on the right side of the forward 3 if he was going to pull him back into midfield when suddenly Jordan Morris is available. I don't think that's going to. I don't
think this was a 180-minute audition to show Yunus Musa, hey, come hang out with us more.
Maybe, and then the only way to get Gio Reina on the field is to put him out wide.
But that being said, I thought Musa's performance was good enough that he should get a chance at a meaningful game. I do. I think he should get more looks, more chances. He looked good enough. He did not look out of depth.
No, I agree with that. Again, it's just that he hasn't.
I just have a hard time calling a 17-year-old that's not cap tied a lock.
Well, no, he's not cap tied. That's the other thing. So it's funny. All right, Frank in Orange County. and he's going to bring up 2 names. And these guys are almost relics of the past at this point. That's where we are with this team. And I do want to make sure we are conscious of recency bias here, Jared, because we just watched these kids. We got excited about 6 goals in this game and what they kind of put together against Wales and all those things. But I guarantee you, and I hate to be this guy because I think a lot of people would prefer to just move on. There are going to be veterans in the team. I'm not talking about starters. I'm not saying Michael Bradley walks into this starting lineup. I don't think that's going to happen. You would have to really change things around. Josie Altidore, though, is there a better option right now at center forward than Josie Altidore? I don't think there is, right? We still didn't see it in this game.
If I had a game I had to win tomorrow, I'd still put Josie Altidore in there.
I know lots of people would say I'm doing it begrudgingly.
Begrudgingly, for sure.
Is there?
I still think that if I had to win a game tomorrow, I'd put Josie Altidore in there. But here's the thing: I want to do a little this or that with you on this. Okay, so talking about finding out where Yunus Musah is in this hierarchy. Let's talk about some of the other positions of people you could do or not. Yunus Musah or Paxton Pomykal, if he was healthy.
Yunus Musah
or Jackson Ewell.
I like Paxton Pomykal. Okay, so real quick, because you brought it up. This is where we are with that. And by the way, Reggie Cannon, ahead of the game against Panama, name-checked Paxton Pomykal and Jesus Ferreira when he was talking about getting out of MLS. And he said, my advice to players in MLS is to get out of MLS. He didn't say it exactly like that, but that was the thrust of it. If Paxton Pomykal got his move, and his injuries have obviously stopped him, he may have been the Brendan Aronson if he hadn't gotten injured.
So let me get to my guys then.
All right.
Okay.
Right,
Yunus Musah or Jackson Ewell?
Yunus Musah.
I mean, you would move McKinney forward if you're going to do that anyway. Though.
Bias for
just talking about the 3-man midfields. Okay.
Yeah.
Yunus Musah or Brendan Aronson?
Man, that's tough. I like Brendan Aronson a lot. I think I would probably say Brendan Aronson. He's got more senior level minutes.
And I want to say that win a game tomorrow. Brendan Aronson or Yunus Musah?
Brendan Aronson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brendan Aronson or Sebastian Lletget?
Brendan Aronson.
Okay. Sebastian Lletget or Yunus Musah?
This is the squad, or I'm starting one of these.
You got to win a game tomorrow.
Man.
Musah.
Why? All right, Nick, come on. Step up. Be my advocate here, or step up, take my spot. Why are you going with Yunus Musah?
What I saw out of him these 2 games, I'm sold. I'm fully on board with him going forward.
I'm not saying you're wrong, okay? My instinct is to say Musah too. I'll admit that. But he is 17.
Don't care.
What about
Giovanni Reyna was just 17. We've already anointed him.
I understand that. By the way, I would have the same concerns about Gio Reyna.
Giovanni's club career is a little bit better than Musah's is so far.
He's got a lot more minutes under his belt.
Sure, not denying that.
The thing that concerns me is that we are underestimating the difficulty. I know, like, everybody thinks it's just an excuse for missing out on the World Cup in 2018, but it is hard to go to San Pedro Sula. It is hard to go to San Jose, Costa Rica. It is hard to go to those places and get points.
You don't think it's hard to go to the Bernabeu? You don't think it's hard to go to
Let me know when he does. Let me know when he does.
Nick, has Yunus Musah or Giovanni Reyna played in front of people yet?
Well, Giovanni Reyna did last year. He played Champions League.
Yeah.
Got his first goal in a Champions League game.
Okay. All right. I'm just saying. Have either of them been in that environment?
Are you saying that you don't know that they exist because, like, a tree fall in the woods if no one sees it?
Look, they obviously have to get the experience to have the, like, I can't know that they're going to fail. I'm not saying they would. I'm just saying that in a team, right, in an 11-man team, you need some people who can keep their head on straight when the Wolves are baying at you at the Dragon's Lair or wherever we're playing that game against Costa Rica, because I don't know where it is. It used to be at Saprissa. I don't think it's at Saprissa anymore.
If it was me, and this is just my personal take, I'm sure I'm in the minority here, but I don't want to see guys like Michael Bradley on the team anymore. I don't want to see Josie Altidore on the team anymore.
Away from them, but we're talking about starting a game. And by the way, I know it seems like this, like, well, these guys just sucked. But that thing that happened in Trinidad, it's not like it was only because we had bad players. In fact, those players were good enough to get that result, but they melted in that situation, right? They failed to keep their heads on straight. Obviously, Omar Gonzalez is one of the craziest own goals he'll ever have, and that's on him too. But I'm just saying, like, don't underestimate the need to have some people who have been through this before. It doesn't – I'll go back to my Subway analogy. You don't have the guy who's been on the job for 2 weeks train the guy who just got hired. You don't do that. You have to have somebody who knows what they're doing.
All right, so Nick says Musa. Sebastian Lletget or Musa? Where are you at, Jason?
Yunus Musa.
Okay. I think we all are. Aronson, I believe, is the really, truly only person. And here's the thing. We're saying that blind. We haven't seen him with the national team in that role.
Like when I throw in the actual real life things that come at this team, you want me to think about this. Like, is this game happening on the moon? Like, where is this game happening? Oh, it doesn't matter. Just pick one of them. That's not how this works.
You never work in hypotheticals on your show.
I do, but I always try to throw in as many real world caveats as possible. And by the way, not all of these guys are going to be healthy all the time either. So you better have somebody who's ready to step up, right? You better have somebody behind them.
I think Aronson versus Musa is the only real true conversation at that position if you're not going to play someone like Giovanni Reyna there.
All right, I think that's fair. I think
because I could see Berhalter seeing, because then it becomes Jordan Morris or Brendan Aronson is what you're asking yourself, even though it's not for the same position. Mm-hmm. You're asking yourself, do you want Jordan Morris on the field bad enough to put Giovanni Reyna into the midfield, or do you want Giovanni Reyna in the forward three bad enough that you're going to put Brendan Aronson or Musa into the midfield?
Okay, yeah,
that's a question for Berhalter. And I'm not sure. Me personally, I think that I would want to see Giovanni get some minutes in midfield and see what it looks like.
I wouldn't mind seeing that either. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Yeah, I would love to see 45 with Aronson, 45 with Reyna, and every other position staying the same.
Can we also, real quick, we're getting towards the end of it. I know we at least have one more person who wants to jump in with a phone call. And I know I live in this weird Twitter bubble when I'm watching the game and doing the second screen thing. And I'm sure that, some psychologist somewhere would say, Jason, you need to put down your phone. My wife would actually say this. Jason, put down your phone. Stop looking at Twitter. Don't engage with any of that. Why do we do this thing? Is something good is happening. Something fun is happening. We're scoring a bunch of goals. And I've already thrown out that, yeah, this is Panama. And yeah, it's whatever. Nobody's in the building. It's in Austria. They're kicking you around. You weren't very good for half an hour, 45 minutes. Why can't we just enjoy this stuff? Like, why does it have to be?
I turned it off today, to be honest with you. I just enjoyed it.
The second the game ends, I can't. It's going to be great when Yunus Musa declares for England. Like, why do we do that to ourselves? What is that thing that Americans have?
It's because we don't want to be hurt. Hurting sucks. We just went through a missed World Cup. We hurt. We know that feeling, what it is to hurt.
Jared, we're putting up walls. We're going to take down our walls. We're like...
Unlike our president, Mexico actually built this wall. It hurt. Mexico's put us in this position.
If we were in a teen comedy, we would be the girl who doesn't let anybody in. Everybody wants to be her friend, but she keeps pushing.
So we're like Julia Stiles and 10 Things I Hate About You.
That's literally exactly where I was going. This is why we're here together. All right.
So what we need is a Heath Ledger to come in and sing to us.
Exactly. We need somebody to get on the field and sing.
Maybe Yunus Musa and Giovanni Reyna are our Heath Ledgers, and we're just not like giving them the microphone.
Before I get to Frank, somebody did point this out too. That what also is exciting and special right now is that this team, not just young, although that's a part of it, but personality. And I keep going back to the roster page at US Soccer and looking at those faces and looking at the haircuts and looking at the attitude and thinking, this is what American soccer should look like. Like, to me,
the color of the team is what it should look like too.
Across the board, this is a team that represents a wider swath of American soccer than we've ever had before. That doesn't mean this team's going to go win a World Cup. It doesn't mean that. But we've, for years and years and years, failed, or maybe it was the culture, maybe it was the pay-to-play system. We failed to have a team that represented the people who love soccer in this country.
No, this team looks like America.
Looks like America. That's what yeah.
And that goes for Yunus Musa too. He represents a portion of America.
Put it on a t-shirt. This team looks like America. That's what I'm saying. Frank in the OC. Frank, how you doing, man?
What's up, guys? Hey, listen, about the whole CONCACAF thing. I think you bring in Josie and Bradley, but I don't necessarily think you should start them.
Okay.
I do agree with so I agree that you need some senior leadership there, right? Definitely you need that.
Frank, let me ask you a question. Again, I think it's about going through the process. Christian Pulisic, by the way, has gone through a cycle. He's been in all those places.
Yeah.
He's been to Port of Spain.
He was on the field when we lost.
He's been on the field when we lost, when we missed out. He carries that pain with him. He carries it like do you trust a Weston McKennie, who certainly seems to have taken on not just a leadership role, but kind of he's the team asshole. Did you know that? Like in a fun way, like everybody, he put on his Instagram, he's like smacking people at team meals in the back of, like he's doing all that crazy stuff that comes with, again, I think on the field, he's a leader. Do you trust him, or maybe it's Tyler Adams, who's a little bit quieter, but also still confident? Do you trust them to carry that leadership role, Frank?
Either of them.
Either of them.
If I'm being honest, yeah, either of them.
Okay, so I'm going to play a game with you, Frank, like I just did with Jason. Okay, and I want to know where you stand here. Are you saying that Michael Bradley is a better defensive midfielder than Jackson Ewell right now? Or are you just saying it's solely the leadership that makes the decision for you?
I think you bring in Bradley.
Because he's just for the leadership?
That doesn't answer the question. Come on, answer the question. Is Michael Bradley better than Jackson Ewell? Or a couple of other choices in Major League Soccer, but Jackson Ewell is a good one.
Jackson Ewell is better.
But you still take Michael Bradley because he's been there before and he's the team leader.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I understand that, because even if Bradley isn't getting minutes, he can be effective.
I think that there's a role to play. And I think we all want, appreciate the call, Frank. We're going to get ready to wrap this up. I think we all want just a wholesale new generation, flush away all the old stuff, all the painful memories. Let's forget all of that happened. Let's just move forward with this group. I think we want that, but I just don't think it's 100% practical. And it doesn't mean you have to take 4 or 5 guys from the last cycle, or 4 or 5 guys who have been national team regulars for the last couple of cycles. It just means that you kind of need 1 or 2 guys to be. And by the way, that's why Tim Ream was here. I'm not saying that I think he should have started this game, but that's why he was there. Beyond Brooks, beyond even, well, Miazga's got less experience, but Brooks and Tim Ream are supposed to be leaders from the back, right? They're supposed to be the guys who know what an national.
I say it right now after watching these last 2 games, Weston McKennie is the captain of this team. Weston McKennie is the captain of this team. I won't hear otherwise. I know Christian Pulisic's probably going to get the armband because that's what we do. We give the shiny player the badge a lot of the band a lot of times, but Weston McKennie is the captain of this team. I see it in the way he carries himself on the field, the way he works on the field, and even seems that way off the field, and the little stuff we get to see. Now, granted, we don't see everything. Maybe there's something we don't know about. From what I see on the field, I see Weston McKennie.
That's not the history of the team. Who was the captain forever and ever?
I mean, in soccer. I'm not saying in our.
I'm talking about on the team, in the U.S. men's national team. Who was the captain forever and ever until his career kind of came to a
Claudio Reyna, Carlos Bocanegra.
Carlos Bocanegra, right? Carlos Bocanegra was de facto captain.
I'm saying in the sport, it tends to go to the listen, you gotta get hurt. I'm hurt. I'm a Galaxy fan. I watched Beckham come in and take it from Landon Donovan, and then I watched Zlatan take it, from who should have been Jonah Dos Santos. Like the coaches do this. They give it to the guy to make him happy and appease him. I don't know that we have the personalities on this team where we have to do that. But for me, it's Weston McKennie's position to lose.
Yeah, I think that's more of a club thing than a national team thing, unless you're England.
Who's your captain on this team?
I think Weston McKennie's probably the captain right now. I think it would be fine. I think it would be fine on Tyler, but I also think John Brooks might end up being the guy. He's not. I don't think he's a vocal leader, but I don't think that's necessarily what you care about at this point. I think it might be John Brooks. It's just whether you want the captain to be in the back line, and Bocanegra played there forever and was captain, or if you would prefer a midfield player have it, because it just tends to be more active, and that's, if you're lobbying referees and that kind
Brooks can have the armband every 4th game when McKennie gets a red card.
All right, there you go.
Can I chime in real quick?
Yeah.
I give it to Dest. I like what I saw this weekend from him.
He's not. No. I love Serginho Dest. He's not going to be the captain of this team.
Why couldn't he be?
What about what you saw was leadership?
a willingness to nutmeg people is not a captain necessarily make. I'm just saying.
My 2 cents. Go ahead. Rain on my parade.
I would say Dest can be the captain of the Sauce Squad.
Yeah. Well, there's factions within the team. They all work together, but there's little factions within the team. He's the captain of the Sauce Squad. Yeah, sure.
Oh, God, isn't it so nice to have a player like that on your team, though?
Yeah,
a guy that just so embarrass fools at any moment,
makes people look dumb. Deuce would do it on occasion for sure, but it's been a while.
Here's the thing: Nick's the guy. Put Nick's face back up. Put his face back up here.
All right,
Nick.
Yeah.
Are you the type of guy that always thinks the quarterback is the captain?
No.
Okay. I was wondering because that's like Flash. Like you could sort of say Flash with captain.
No, I just think that he played really well. I think he's playing for a big club.
He wants a captain.
I'll give him this though. I'll give him this.
That's what it is. He wants
Serginho Dest doesn't change who he is to the level of whatever is in front of him. And that's admirable. And I think that's a type of displayed leadership. That dude is going to do exactly what he does if he plays at Barcelona, this team, or wherever.
By the way, he is going to
not short of confidence.
He's going to get chopped in some CONCACAF games. And we're going to see how he is going to get chopped.
He might throw a blow. I'm not sure he's going to win a fight. He won't win a fight, but he might throw a blow and get sent off the field.
Well, this is the thing. There is a bit of a red mist streak in this team. In McKennie, I think in depth, certainly possible. There are a couple other guys on the field that you're like, okay, let's keep it under control because you don't want to be a problem.
Miazga got that.
Sure.
He's got that.
Not that we want him to necessarily start, but he is a guy that if he plays can be susceptible to that kind of thing. So we're going to find out.
Thanks for answering my question, Nick.
No problem, buddy.
All right, this is the deal, people. We have the midweek show. It's called From the Stands. Comes out every Thursday usually. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast feed so you get that. It's usually me. Jared makes an appearance usually in the middle.
If you're subscribed on YouTube, you're only getting half the shows. Because that show's not on YouTube. It's only on the podcast feed. And Jason's got great guests all the time. This week's going to be Grant Wall.
Yeah, I think the best part of that show is figuring out what's very Southern California thing Jared is doing at the time that I call him for that program. It's usually like
a nap is really Southern California.
Or like I'm fluffing my cardigans or whatever it is that you do. I don't even know.
Sleeping up wine bottles.
Sleeping up broken wine bottles you use as decoration.
Stacking my wood to burn in 60-degree weather.
Smoking some meat, which is quite the follow.
Did a lot of that this weekend.
I saw. It was step by step. You were going in deep, sharing 10-year-old YouTube videos with your sauce, which I think was
that's different kind of sauce than what we were talking about before. I got a sauce squad too.
Make sure you're subscribed to that. Last week I talked to who did I talk to last week? Who was it?
It was Justin Brunken.
Oh, Justin Brunken from AO, from American Outlaws. This week it's going to be Grant Wall. He's got a podcast coming out on Freddie Adu. We're going to talk about that and hype and this team and everything else. Should be good. Also, and ratings and reviews, right? Please go and leave a rating and a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, whatever it's called now, or whatever your podcast mechanism is of choice. Please do that. We also are doing bonus stuff at JD and the Rod on Patreon. It's not under the Best Soccer Show. You got to go search for JD and the Rod. That way you get all the extra stuff we're doing. I think we're going to take some soccer questions and turn it into a show tonight, which will come out only on the Besties Patreon feed if you want any of that. What else? Oh, there may be an Old Dad FC update on that show because we ran out of time tonight. So that'll be where you find the old Dad FC stuff. Am I missing something? I feel like I'm missing something.
I think that's about it. I think you hit about everything. By the way, doesn't it feel good to have like post-game shows back? Oh my God.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the stuff on Thursday. That was super fun. We love doing that.
We'll try to get some more out there too. Obviously, the European time slot sometimes makes it hard, but that's what she said. But
the European time slot.
Sorry, anytime I say those words in that order, I got to say something afterwards.
Well, you did say slot, so I just have let's move forward. I don't know what's happening anymore. All right,
but I will say this: anytime we can do a post game show, we plan to.
There you go. That's exactly what this is. And obviously national team games will come kind of few and far between, but whenever we can, we're going to be here for you, the American soccer fan. Okay. Nikki Soup and Sausage, thank you very much for your work as always. Mr. DuBois, we will talk to you guys next week. Bye.
See you, buddies.
Damn, dog.
I don't like this game. Your men are brutish and their play is ugly.
Danger zone!
Duh, and or hello. I wouldn't be caught dead in this sweater vest.
You got to coordinate. Who asked those questions? To feel respect for the game. Eddie, what have you done for me lately? Get to the chopper! Get out of the field! Glory Salam Montano! It's incredible!
Jay Rodius.